I'm John Robert Matz, and I'm the composer of For the King and For the King II. Falrul is a fantasy world, but the sound I've tried to capture is influenced by elements of what music historians call early music, medieval and Renaissance sounds, as well as a healthy dose of folk music traditions from across Europe and the UK. We went for a featured small bardic ensemble, if you will, like a gang of minstrels who were following us around and accompanying us on our adventures, backed up by a larger orchestral ensemble more in line with some of my favorite fantasy scores. These two groups give us the scope to go big for big moments, have sweeping world music or big dramatic combat music, but also have the intimacy and detail of the smaller set of instruments. Now, our budget didn't allow us to record a whole orchestra, or bring on a ton of guest soloists, but if there's one thing I've learned, it's that one real instrument, played convincingly, can sell an entire track. So I've gradually tried to get competent at playing a lot of instruments to weave into For the King II's score. From plucked string instruments, to a flock of winds, to reeds, to brass, to percussion, and even weirder instruments. Some weirder than others. Now, I'm no virtuoso at any of these, but having them played live, however rustically performed they might be, makes such a difference in how human and emotive the music is as a result. So, what do we do with all these emotional, realistic, and sometimes only, maybe semi-historically accurate instruments? For the King II's music is broken up into three major categories. Biome music, unique for every realm in Falrul. Dungeon music, to accompany your party of adventurers as they solve puzzles and crawl between the toughest fights in the darkest places in the land. And combat music, for combat, something you'll be doing a lot of. Some of these music types are simple, and some are more complex, but they're all written to, as seamlessly as we can manage, pivot and shift from anywhere to anywhere. Being procedurally generated, there's no way to know exactly where things will be in For the King II's world, or what order they'll be encountered in, so all the music needs to be able to adapt quickly and elegantly to the state changes of the game. Biome music, for example, switches gears at various markers that we've laid out in every track, so when players move their characters to a new place, we get new music a few beats later at the next junction point. Dungeon music takes over from biome music when we enter a dungeon, interrupting elegantly and immediately. And combat music. Now that one gets fun. So, all of For the King II's combat music is broken up into three major sections and one optional section, plus a few alternate endings. Because combat in a turn-based game can progress at any pace, we wanted to provide a sense of escalation. So, we start off with the lowest intensity section, Section A, move on to Section B, then Section C, which we may get to if we haven't already defeated the enemy or been defeated by them. Then there's the optional section, which we call the Danger Zone, or DZ, if you will. The Danger Zone is where we go if we happen to lose a party member, or something otherwise traumatic happens to us that puts us in a bit of a pickle. But let's take a look at how this works. I work in Logic, so everything I do here is a combination, as I said, of live instruments and samples, and there's a million tracks along the way. But string libraries, percussion, and all of these live woodwinds and brass that I've got going on. So let's see what this sounds like at the very beginning here. This is one of the lighter combat tracks, so it's a little bit more sprightly, if you will, a little less high intensity than some of the others. And then as we get to here, we start to have some of our woodwinds Like I said, those of you who've worked in Logic know that this means I've spliced things together. I'm not the greatest player, but I hold my own. Trumpet enters. Horns answer. We're kind of escalating the drama levels. And then we back off to something a bit more delicate, which allows us to segue back into the loop. And this section will loop over and over again until we have completed enough turns or enough stuff has happened to advance us to the next section, which is the B section. It's a bit more intense. Feels like things are getting serious now. We have some more frantic flute playing. And that serves to kind of escalate us to a rather complex harpsichord part. And up there, some more woodwind work. We'll stop at this section, but again, it would loop back and allow us to continue to live in the B section as long as we needed to. Then there's the C section, which is another escalation. Now, any of these sections can progress to the next section in the sequence as soon as we hit that point in the game. So it can happen instantaneously. We have a system that's set up so it happens on the beat and is a very elegant progression from one to the next. Let's stop there and dive into the danger zone quick, and I'll show you how this all works in context. Danger zone, obviously, is a bit more frantic. We may have lost a party member at this point. Things are not looking so hot for us. Also, because the intensity just keeps escalating, we're bringing in more of our trumpets and more of our horns, which I played myself, like I said. And then it will rewind to take us back to a loop. But we'll stop it at the end of this section. Right about there. All right, let's pop over and take a look at how this functions in-game. So here is a pretty basic combat encounter. We have our 4 party members versus a troll. Like I said, we start in the A section of the music. This is lesser intense, and it serves as a little bit of an on-ramp. This chose this fight because it's short and sweet. We are in the A section. It continues to loop. All 4 party members go. We're getting into some of the more actiony stuff. You'll get to hear those transitions moving from A to B in just a moment. There's our B section. All right, we finished our turn. We ramped up. We're taking this troll down remarkably fast. Maybe we might have cheated a little tiny bit to get some of these weapons. Alright. But as we wind up our final hit here, we're going to hear the music escalate to C, from B to C. There's our C section, but we kind of took them out right away, so I don't really get to savor the C section. But the nice thing is, the longer the fight goes on, the higher the drama levels, and the more escalation we get overall. And there you have it. For the King II has hours of lovingly and painstakingly crafted music to accompany you and your friends' adventures around Farrell. I hope that this special has given you a bit of extra insight into what goes into our game's soundscape, and that you enjoy it and check out the game and soundtrack when they drop. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, go forth, adventure, and probably die. Thanks!